Hi everybody, welcome back to Cardvoyant. I'm Kris and I'm your Cardvoyant, and today I have some more Jacob's Journal material for you. So if you're a new subscriber, and thank you if you are, this is a little different from the reading that may have prompted you to subscribe, but I will do more of those kinds of readings, and I do also have the sort of tarot teaching topics that I also do, and we'll have some more of those coming up as well. But this material is material that I receive in the form of automatic writing, so it's sort of channeled through me in that way from a group of spirit guides collectively known as Jacob. And this material I put together every so often. Every time I have like 3 or 4 of these entries, then I'll put them together in a video. And then they're also available in written form on my website, cardvoyant.com, where you can look at them or print them out, whatever you want to do. That's also where you can book a private reading with me if that's something that you're interested in. So this material comes to me like in meditation, and so often what happens, the way that it sort of plays out, is that I will have something on my mind. Sometimes I feel like things are given to me, like just an idea or something. I'm sort of thinking about it in my mind, and then I'll start to get pictures and phrases. And then once I start writing, it becomes like phrase after phrase. And along with that, I often get like pictures in my head that helps me to understand it, so that hopefully, the written word, when you see it, you can understand as well. So I have today 4 entries, and they're quite different, especially the last one, which I will sort of talk about in an intro to that last one. But these first 3 are kind of on just, as many of these journal entries are, just really basic sort of topics that just about life and our relationship with the non-physical world. So this first one is from June 22nd, and came in a morning meditation, and it reads as follows. There is no forgiveness nor need to forgive. There is only acceptance. Unforgiving or being unforgiving is the act of denying the actuality, the truth of anything, any situation. Hurt, pain, anger, thoughts of revenge, all stem from the discord that lies between what is and what one might have liked or believes should be. This is a painful cycle of denial that breeds pain and creates perpetually circular energy caught in a painful vortex that denies entry of all other feelings. Acceptance, or forgiveness, as you so often characterize it, is the act of denying the vortex its momentum, thus breaking a cycle of energy that breeds only pain, hurt, anguish, anger, and forms a sort of barrier around the one who harbors and feeds it, denying them access to forward movement, understanding, growth, and a reestablishment of the principles, fundamental principles of love and joy, which is laughter and happiness, a basic naivete that precedes all happy outcomes by blindly accepting and believing in the goodness and support of the universe. Such barriers, which can become exceedingly tall and wide and strong, well fortified, are removed only by acceptance. That acceptance that you call forgiveness, which we refer to simply and only as truth. Here in this truthful space, the eternal meets the physical and is ultimately resolved in the knowing of the ever-present balancing, which you call justice, and which is only brought forth through love, which permeates, surrounds, and indeed connects you all, us all. For in truth, We are one, and thus acceptance of truth, however, wherever, and with whomever, is acceptance of self and the divine, which fills and connects each of us, connects us. For as you must one day see and concede, we all are indeed one. And this connection is kind of a theme, actually, in all of these readings. Um, now that I think about it, this next one is from June 24th. We stand ever at the ready, even now as you choose whether you will take the time, expend the energy to receive our messages, hear our voices that seek ever and always to speak, send forth our clarion call, reach you, support you, and in your understanding, that is, instruct, teach you. For your life, your physical experience is best served when you understand, as far as it is possible while in the physical state, the continuity and your everlasting relationship with it. You can and often do simply close yourself, your ears, your minds, your hearts to us who love and serve you in immeasurable and in some instances unseeable ways. Yet we are ever with you, in your midst, standing both as sentry, comforter, and savior. This is our duty and our great joy, just as it is yours now and has been yours in lives lived both physically and in the non-physical world. For how can we not stand in support, in full love of ourselves, and as we are all connected and occupy a part of the divine? There is no possibility of choosing to diminish or even punish you, and thus ourselves. Indeed, we, again, stand ever at the ready as base and basis of help, support, and love, if you will but accept and welcome that truth of which each of you, no matter stature, faith, belief, guilt, innocence, love, or pain, are indeed worthy and in fact entitled. Rejection happens only, exclusively, when you deem yourselves unworthy. For never will we or any in the non-physical world do such. We, and indeed you, stand not only as representatives of, but in fact a portion of, the divine, and therefore reject none of ourselves. Rather, seek always to grow all pieces of ourselves, you, the all that is, in joy, peace, and love. So this next one is a little bit different. It talks about love. And for me, love is such an interesting concept. I've come to have a better understanding, especially after this message, about what love is. But for a lot of people, it's kind of nebulous to define. You know, it's a feeling, but like, how do we actually define it? And I think this message came in response to my own questioning, and hopefully it makes some sense and perhaps answers some questions for you. And this is from June 29th. Love is two-tiered, equally two-tiered. It simultaneously calls on each of us to recognize self in other, and to understand that even while we are all a part of the source, and therefore quite literally a part of each other, there is indeed no way that any of you, any of us, our unique individual selves, can ever be usurped, invalidated, or eliminated. We are not ever swallowed up by the whole, but are instead made greater individually by our joining collectively. Therefore, this first essential tier that makes up part one of the two necessary portions of love, requires the acknowledgement of this joining, linkage, which is an inextricably unalterable inability to sever this immortal ancestry that finds us forever staring at self and acknowledging ties impossible to sever. The second tier of love, then, naturally requires the grand and exquisite desire for self-growth, self-expression, joy, happiness, and possibility. And because we naturally and rightly desire these things for ourselves, we must naturally desire them for all parts of ourselves, which also, of course, and quite naturally, means we desire them for everyone, from those with whom we are most intimately involved to those whom we will never know or even know of. And just as our greatest wish and our greatest expression of ourselves, our unique individual selves, requires the freedom and ability to express ourselves in whatever way we desire, and with whom we desire, and where and how we desire, inasmuch as our own joy and expression does not limit or steal away joy and freedom from others, so too must we allow all such freedom of expression and self in all parts of ourselves, which is to say, all mankind. And yet, even more than all mankind, for all parts of Source, of which you are a part again, and equally all parts of you, including all the animals of the earth, and all the animals and creatures of the sea, and all plants and particles of land, and all parts and particles of the sea. Therefore, such freedom is sought and deserved by all of these, who are also, in fact, a part of you as well. And thus you see and now understand that the two tiers of love, which include love of self in all forms, which speaks of and in fact is love of all humanity and all creation, as well as the deep desire and understanding that our deepest and most important desire is self-expression, which is our greatest happiness for you and our deepest well-loved selves, which is our deepest desire for all parts of ourselves, which is in total the source, our source, your source, the all that is. And with this two-tier understanding of love, you now possess the ability to understand when it is said, we say, that the basis of the universe, source, the all that is love. For all expansion, expression, progress, as you think of it in your terms of time and space, you now understand comes from and exists and operates within these principles of love of self and love of individuality that extends to all parts of self. Again, meaning all of creation. And thus the all that is ever expands, ever learns, ever experiences, and ever changes and proceeds. This is love. Your very being depends on it, as do the beings of all creation. Therefore, extend it in all its forms to yourself, remembering always to extend it to all others. For we are individual and one, each deserving the same, and each rejoicing in and receiving the bounteous blessing of these unique, individual, joyous expressions in whatever kind and loving form they take for all others. Therefore, Rejoice in unique joy, unique self-expression, in your ability to thus do, and delight in the opportunity to benefit from the universal expansion brought forth by and through the individual and the unique, joyous expression of all others. Indeed, all creatures, great and small. You know, it's interesting to me that so often in these will get like a snippet of a Bible verse, because I was raised, as Kim and I have talked about often, in a traditional sort of Christian religion, and yet I wasn't much of a Bible reader, other than off and on. And it's something that I've sort of put behind me, and yet it comes up again and again, because I think because these resonate, the phrases and sometimes stories resonate. That's why they've continued for thousands of years, but they do have a connection for me, and I often will get a phrase or two of biblical origin. So it also helps me sort of reconcile the past with how I believe now. So, Carl Reiner died this week, and it was one of those things that just kind of hit me hard. And because growing up, Dick Van Dyke reruns and so many things that he did and wrote and worked in, they were just so fun and happy for me, and I loved them. And it was just that sometimes you just feel, even a celebrity, their loss very greatly. And I was thinking about how just during this pandemic time, we've lost several of these people that it's not like that expected to lose, because like Carl Reiner was 98 years old. And yet I feel like I felt like that generation was sort of disappearing. And it was sad to me, and it has been sad to me. And I was in meditation the night that I had heard he passed away. And I had this sort of vision, like what I imagine Kim has happen sometimes, but it was this sort of vision um, of these people, these older people that were passing away, sort of holding on to this bar. I thought of it like an iron rod, speaking of sort of churchy connotations, holding onto this iron rod that extended well into the past, and then it now just sort of ended. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So this is one of the few times that in speaking to my Jacob's guides, I actually asked a question, sort of like, what does this mean and what's going on here? And that's when I received this. And this was just a few days ago. This is July 2nd. They are of a generation born into war and refined by a fire that burned in all directions. And yet, through growth and expansion of all things, all types of knowledge, from art to technology, they held firm, provided a backbone of sorts for new and different generations, and represented a calling from the universe to remain the calm within the storm. While much and many entered into the headwinds and swirled about them, they held fast to the rope, that taut and strong cord. They hoisted the mainsail, as it were, and kept an ever veering, tossed, and ultimately battered and nearly unsailable ruined ship on some underlying type of course. At times beloved and respected, at other times hated and derided, still they remained, to keep, or to try to keep, some type of semblance of a steady keel. A ship with a destination in mind, though the course, the pathway, the planned progress was often, very often, perhaps most often, obscured and argued over, and nearly unseeable, unknowable. And yet they remained, a reminder that yes, we once knew the course of our own pilgrim's progress, for indeed, pilgrims you all are. But their great and lengthy voyage has come to an end, and many, indeed most, now return home. Their work will continue here, yet Earth, you, your newer, younger, different generation, are now cast adrift, alone, without the benefit of those who unceasingly held the rudder steady. Now you must decide which horizon you sail toward and what lies beyond. There is much hope here, for as these many peoples, beings, souls are missed, absent, their absence comes at a time when it is most noticed, and therefore their lives most reviewed and appreciated, with much to teach you as you have much to learn. And now, in your lonesomeness and pain, stand ready to listen and learn. These are men and women of notoriety in many and indeed all fields, and equally great men and women of notoriety within the confines of their families and communities. Yet, no matter the level of their fame, all have played an important role over the long length of their lifetimes. They return home to their non-physical birthplaces, both weary and exhilarated, welcomed in triumph, yet willing and able to continue to contribute to the higher, forward, positive, loving progress of your species, yourselves, and all about you in your time frame. Thus you continue to be guided and comforted, even as you mourn and feel keenly the power of their absence in your physical world. Therefore, in your great love and recognition of their loss, remember their hopes and ideals, whether they seemed achievable or as unachievable dreams, for all are possible. Nothing is ever truly lost, and all that mankind dreams of and plans for and wishes, these highest of ideals and broadest of promises, unity and love and understanding and connection, are in fact achievable and anxiously await you, all of the earth, physical creation. So, was helpful to me. It gave some understanding of why we feel some of these losses so keenly, even if we haven't known these people personally. And then there are many people in our lives, of course, that are personal, that we feel these losses as well. So I hope these messages were helpful and are helpful. Again, you can find them on my website, cardvoyant.com. If you'd like to look at them again, read them, print them out, whatever you want to do. They are there for you, and that's, I believe, why I'm receiving them, to just be of help in these times and to help us grow our understanding. So as I said, I'll have some more videos coming up. I'll do another reading fairly soon and post that for you. Until then, if you would like, again, a personal reading, a private reading, you can go also to my website, cardvoyant.com. Please subscribe, tell your friends, share videos, whatever you would like to do. I do appreciate it, and I love your comments. Thank you so much. So until next time, I will just say once again, please take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other. And until next time, I'll say bye for now.